So let's say, for example, you're doing your first fix. You're trying to figure out, do you need to purchase a truck? No. Well, maybe. Let me explain. Unless you're going to use that truck like a truck, it's really not worth purchasing one to do a fixer. Just in case you don't know, I did my first fixer without a truck. We had used my wife's small SUV because I had a motorcycle at the time. And thankfully I was fortunate enough to have a family member to be able to drop off some bigger things like plywood and drywall and things like that. But honestly, you can fit a lot of stuff in those small to medium-sized SUVs. So I'm going to go ahead and take you through a couple of things that we actually fit in the Rogue, but probably a lot more than you think we can. Just to show you that it's possible to do it without a truck. And then later in the video, I'm going to show you a little bit of things that you probably are going to want to have a truck for, or some type of way to haul big material like that. So here we have bathroom vanities. It's something you're probably going to end up carrying, because you're probably going to be replacing these in a fixer. And these fit no problem in the Rogue. Granted, we did have to take one at a time. That one right there is a 24-inch. That one's pretty small. That's probably more for like a half bath. Let's see if I can find a more normal sized one. Oh yeah, right here. It's a 36-inch cabinet. I think we put one of these in the Rogue. I can't remember how exactly we got it in, but it's going to be like one of those things where obviously your trunk has to be empty, and then you're going to fold down the back seats, and you can fit a lot more in than you really think you can. But this is just an example of like, hey, this is a big box here. You can see that it's got some girth to it, and we were able to fit it in the Rogue no problem. We fit things like grills and other things like that. And here's an example of something that you probably won't be able to fit with a truck, but you might be able to. We did end up bringing a couple of doors. Honestly, you're probably going to need a slightly larger SUV for that, probably like a Tahoe or a Sequoia or a 4Runner or something like that, just because you need a little bit longer of a space. As our first fixture, we ended up replacing 2 doors, so that is quite a big pain. You might be able to get away with like a car or a Subaru or something like that with a roof rack on it, to where you can kind of plop this door on top here, because it does have the support of the frame, so you wouldn't scratch the door at that point. So it's possible, not necessarily with a smaller SUV, but if you had a roof rack, this is something you definitely could get by in bringing. So I put about 800 pounds in the back of the Rogue. I was probably pushing the cabin weight a little bit, but it's like something, if you don't have a truck, it's something that you can go ahead and make do without having to purchase one. And when we did our second set of concrete countertops, I was able to put it in the truck, and I probably put about 1,500 pounds of concrete in there. So that does make it a little bit easier, but it's not necessary. So here's an insulation blower. This actually comes apart into 2 pieces, or at least the one that we ended up renting. And I was actually able to get this in the back of the Rogue. Granted, I did have to fold the seats down, and then we ended up purchasing, I think it was 20 packs of cellulose blown-in insulation. Granted, I did have to make 2 trips to get all this, but it is something that you can go ahead and fit in the back of a Rogue. Maybe I might have to be a little creative, and you got to make sure your car's empty. But still, yeah, it would be easier with a truck, but it's definitely something that you can make do. I would hate to see not being able to fit a truck into your budget, deter you from doing a fixer, because honestly, it's possible to do it without it. For example, I ended up purchasing, I think, 6 sheets of 3x5 Durarock and putting it in the back of the Rogue. Granted, I did have to have the seats folded down, and the Rogue is going to get dirty on the inside, and you're definitely going to spend some time cleaning it. But it's like 3x5 sheets of Durarock, bathroom vanities. Those are really going to be like the bigger things that you end up carrying, in a project besides the big stuff, like plywood and drywall and things like that. Sometimes you can put an 8-foot piece of lumber, even with the trunk shut. I know I ended up carrying a 12-foot 4x4 home, and I wanted to have the trunk shut and just stuck it out the window. So I'm going to go ahead and give you an example of some things that you really need a truck or a trailer to haul. Also, I'm going to go ahead and remind you of how big the truck actually is, especially in the back seat, because you can put a whole 36-inch bathroom vanity in the back seat. Drywall is going to be one of those things you're definitely going to need a full-size truck for. This is not even going to be something the small truck's going to be able to handle, at least the majority of them. They'd have to have a 4-foot wide in between the wheel arches there. But yeah, this is going to be something you're going to want a trailer or a full-size truck for. But again, this is just examples of things that you really just can't haul in the Rogue. And I have tried to haul some of this stuff, and you end up cutting it and just trying to get it to fit how you want it, and it really just isn't good. So if you're going to be hauling tons and tons of drywall, then yeah, maybe a truck's beneficial. And here we have the plywood and the melamine. They're typically 4x8. So I have tried to fit some of the stuff in the Rogue. I ended up cutting down some plywood and in the parking lot at Home Depot and made it fit. But it's really just something that you really just need a truck for, or a trailer, or something like that. So here's some other options as opposed to purchasing a truck. You could actually go ahead and just get some type of trailer hitch fitted to your vehicle. So I know cars can tow, as well as small SUVs, and these trailers are ones you can purchase. This one right here is probably going to be a little bit too short. So is that one going to be a little bit too short for a sheet of drywall, because you got to have the trailer up. Yeah, it's going to be a little short. That second one there is going to be a little bit better. I don't know if you can see it around the camera. It says $948 to purchase, so almost $1,000 for a trailer. I know there's some down the way there a little bit that it says you can rent, and renting a trailer probably isn't a bad option. So just to kind of recap, you do have a lot of options when it comes to transporting materials when you're doing a fixture. You have one, which is purchase a truck, which is going to end up being the most convenient for you, but one that's a little bit more expensive. You have another option, which is fit a trailer hitch to your car and then purchase a trailer, but then you have to spend $1,000 on the trailer, as well as the cost to put the hitch on the car, and then you have to title the trailer and register it, and maintenance. There's all these things with it. Then you have another option, which is fit the hitch to your car, which you still have to pay for, but then you could just rent a trailer if you needed it. Those are kind of the middle of the range options there. If you wanted to be a little bit more independent about it. But then, realistically, you could just rent one of those trucks from either U-Haul or Home Depot. If you just needed like a standard F-150 pickup, or I think the ones at Home Depot are bigger. I think they're like a 250 or a 350, one of those big, just straight steel beds on them. I know you can go ahead and rent those. So that's probably going to be a cheaper option, but maybe a little bit less convenient, because you got to go in and you got to rent it and then load it, and then you just got to bring it back. So cost-wise, it's pretty effective. Convenience-wise, it's kind of annoying. And then you have the other option is just to get the item delivered. If you're going to be if you're going to be buying 15 cabinets, you're probably going to want that delivered. Like if you're going to buy a fridge, you're going to want that delivered. You're not going to like pop that in the back of a pickup truck. And granted, it is kind of expensive to have them delivered. I think it's like $60 or $70 or something like that, for them to send out a box truck. But maybe there's a chance you can get stuff on sale and they'll offer free delivery. But hopefully this video is helpful in laying out kind of all the options that you have, so that you don't feel trapped and you don't feel like you have to buy a truck or have to do this. Like there's plenty of options out there. You just have to explore them and just pick the one that's best for you and your situation. But anyways, I'll catch you next video.